The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Desde Brooklyn hasta el sol del Medio Oriente, José Flores con fuego en la mente. Raised in the Bronx where dreams don't sleep, donde el hambre te enseña a resistir. Section 8 life, no handouts, no cheat. He built his power from the pain on the street.
Cada golpe, cada lágrima caída fue el fuego que encendió su vida. Ahora camina con propósito y voz. José Flores, hear the noise. De la calle al combate, turn his trials into faith. Con disciplina y con fe, now he rises every day. From the block to the world sin temor.
You ever need a haircut?
So
that these kids can learn how to play instruments or want to, not just learn, but want to. But I think that there's a major shift.
Iraq to Korea, he led from the front. Now he lifts others, never just stunts. Hoy es mentor, líder, amigo.
Welcome to the Motivated Mindset with your host, me, Jose Flores. Hey, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. I am a proud Latino born in the Bronx, raised in Brooklyn, New York City, a veteran with over 30 years of military service and someone who truly believes our greatest chapters are yet to be written as we face our greatest challenges today. My journey has taken me from the streets of New York City to serving our nation around el mundo, that means the world. I had the honor of serving in places like Alemania, Germany, Korea, Central America, Afghanistan, Iraq, and many places throughout the United States. After retiring from the military, my commitment to service continues as I transition into the federal government, which was stupendous when I joined. I had the privilege of serving in the Department of Defense, DOD, and later with the Department of Housing and Urban Development in the EEO specialist and certified mediator, as we say. And I've had the honor of serving along some great leaders that reminded me about one important truth. Leadership is not about title, mi gente. Leadership is about influence. It's about integrity. And more importantly, it's about the impact we have on others. One person who has made a lasting impact on my journey as a friend and mentor, Miss Cindy Dunn. Cindy, it was stupendous. Back in 2022, I had the privilege of attending a leadership conference where Cindy was one of the facilitators, right? And as I sat there watching her, delivering her training, I remember thinking, I have to meet Miss Dunn. I have to meet this incredible human being. Her passion, her ability to connect with people immediately stood out. And after her training, I introduced myself and asked her if she could consider becoming a mentor for me. And thankfully, she said, "Seguro que sí, of course." It was stupendous. And that moment became the beginning of an incredible mentorship journey for Jose. Cindy has challenged me, encouraged me, and inspired me to continue to become a better leader and a better human being, a better person. What started as a professional mentorship has grown into a true friendship. You know what I'm saying? Built on respect, trust, and a shared commitment to helping others grow. And that's what the Motivated Mindset, this channel is all about, mi gente. Recognizing people who pour into us, right? Learning from their wisdom, ¿verdad? And sharing stories that inspire others to keep moving adelante, forward, right? Because remember, every person has a story. Every challenge has a lesson. And every setback can become a setup for something even greater, whether you're a veteran transitioning into a new chapter, whether a leader trying to make una diferencia, a difference, right? An entrepreneur chasing a dream, right? Or someone simply looking for motivation to get through the day, mi gente. You never know whose roof is leaking unless you live there. So remember this, your mindset es importante. And one last thing before we start, check this out. One last thing before we start. If you vibe with what you hear today, right? As we go through this interview, if this conversation inspires you, if you appreciate the interviews, the energy, bring it on, and the message, all I ask is support us. For example, the YouTube, scan it, put your phone there, hit like. As a matter of fact, what I will do is I will put in the comments right here, make it easy for everybody, is the link. And I just put it in there. Check it out. Check it out. It's on its way. So, just share this episode with someone who could use a little motivation. I'm telling you, your support helps us continue to bring powerful guests, meaningful conversations, mi gente, and purpose-driven content straight to you. All right, families, let's get ready to bring our person on. You know who I'm gonna bring? Give us a moment, because we're about to make this happen, Captain. Hoorah!
The interview of the week is brought to you by Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
Cindy, what's up? How you doing?
Wonderful, Jose. Wonderful. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, this is stupendous. I am so happy that you're here, because we definitely gonna delve into some stuff. And on purpose, like I said, I kept some of the stuff out so we can talk about your journey, who you are. And ladies and gentlemen, another thing, this is what I want you to do. If you have comments, if you want to send a shout out to Cindy, please say it throughout the program. Put it out there. We want to know who's out there. So Cindy, before we start with any title, who is Cindy? Where you grew up and who are you?
Yes. But first, I want to thank you, Jose, as well as Yvette, for inviting me to join my very first podcast. I'm excited. My very first one. So thank you so much. Well, who is Cindy? I am a proud product of Prince George's County, Maryland. My mother is still actually living in the family home that I was raised in Lanham, Maryland. My parents purchased that house in 1964.
Oh
my mom still, I tease her all the time. She still has the same home phone number. So it's embedded in a lot of people's mind. I lost my dad from complications of dementia in August of 2024. Mm-hmm. I have an older sister and a younger brother. I married a career Army soldier in 1983. And I had my first son in 1984 and my second son in 1986.
Wow.
My youngest son will be 40 years old tomorrow. So if you let me indulge you just for a second, I like to give a shout out to my baby boy. Happy 40th birthday. Your mother loves you and I will see you tomorrow.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I have 5 grandchildren between the ages of 19 and 7. Don't ask me to name each one and give you the exact age because I will mess up. And guess what? You all are the first to hear that I will be a great grandmother.
Whoa!
So, I had to think about it, and I asked my son, I said, wait a minute, am I old enough to be a great grandmother? So me and my analyst self, I started Googling, what is the average age to be a great grandmother? And it came back between 60 and 75. I said, well, I guess I'm old enough. So I'm going to be a great grandma.
Oh my God. We got a couple of shout outs. You got a shout out to from, what's that? Teresa Singleton. Am I saying that right?
Hey, Teresa. That's one of my old employees. Thank you for always supporting me.
We have another one from Jimmy Porter. Hi, Cindy.
Hey, Jimmy from Louisiana. How's it going?
And we have another shout out from, what is it? I said,
Arnita.
Yes.
What's up, girlfriend? I love this. You all know that I thrive on energy. So just keep going with the shout outs. Keep it going. Thank you.
We got another one from Jordan Porter. Hi, Cindy. It's Jordan. Congrats on being on the podcast.
Hey, Jordan. Oh, my goodness. I love it.
Family, keep it coming. Keep it coming. So, So we would, thank you for the. So before we get started, right? Like, what made you start your career working for the federal government? And please let people know where you started, at what grade, and so on.
Yes, absolutely. My mother and father always instilled in their children, you're going to go to school and you're going to get a good government job. That's what they used to say back then, a good government job. So I remember when I was at the University of Maryland, I went over to what was called an unemployment office. And I really like to ask people questions, but I'm sure a lot of people are on here and they remember unemployment offices. It was right in College Park, right next to the University of Maryland. And I'm going to specifically say I met a man by the name of John Plummer. And people who are affected your life and left a legacy, you will always remember their name, where you met them. And I remember Mr. John Plummer being so nice when I walked into the unemployment office. I said, I would like to have a good government job while I'm in school. So we sat down. He asked me what was my interest. And before long, he had set me up for an appointment to take what was called the civil service exam. Okay. This was in 1980, civil service exam. So I remember going over to the Department of Agriculture, all there in College Park, Maryland, taking the civil service exam. I was in this small room, Jose. It was so small. And I'm sweating because I'm on this manual typewriter and I had to type, "Now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their servicemen." I know people remember that typing test. And I remember this woman pacing behind me, looking at her watch because she was recording my keystrokes. That told how fast I type, and that would determine the grade that I would be eligible for entering the federal government. So she told me in about 2 weeks that I would receive a grade in the mail, which I did. And I was so excited when I opened it up and it said I qualified for a GS3. Now, I was excited. I took that GS3 running up to USDA, said that I have been ranked, and I'm ranked as a GS3. And they told me, well, because you're under the age of 18, at that time, I was only 17 years old. I had to start as a GS1. They said, you got to start as a GS1 under 18. So sure enough, I started as a GS1 in 1980. In 6 months, I got my GS2. And then in 6 months, I got my GS3. I thought I was in there. I was like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. I was just so excited. And long story short, I worked my way up the federal government, skipping only grades GS 8 and 10 to a senior manager in the IRS. I retired February 22nd, 2025. And I retired as the longest serving EEO EDI director for the IRS. I held that position for over 25 years. Wow. And that is one of my many legacies. And that's what we're going to talk about, leaving legacies.
Yes. And we have another shout out from, let me see, Javon. Okay.
Yes, my international friends are joining me. I love it. Jose, this is so great. Hey, Javon.
This is stupendous. Oh, I love it. People, keep it coming. Keep it coming.
Yes.
So, so what we're going to talk about as we talk about legacy, so like, what are some tips to become an effective leader when it comes so you can leave a legacy? If that makes sense. Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. And these are tips that I lived by. This is tips that I taught by, to be an effective leader. And that's the key. You want to be an effective leader. You have to keep your word, number one. Don't make promises you can't keep. No one will believe you and follow you if you do not keep your word. Be fair to all. Good leaders show no favorites. And I know I had to learn that early in my career as a young leader. I had my favorites, and we're going to be honest here. Everybody had their favorites. I knew who I could go to. I knew who would get the job done. I didn't have to do no status checks. Oh, how long it's going to take you? When you're going to have this back? I knew that they were going to be able to get the work done. But as I revolved and grew into my leadership positions, I knew I had to afford everyone an opportunity. So make sure that you be fair to all. Be a good communicator. You don't have to have a commanding voice for people to follow you and lead with you. Be flexible. And this is one of my favorites. And I know Teresa can vouch, one of my employees. I always say, you always have to have a plan B. Sometimes you need a plan C or D, because at all times, plan A sometimes doesn't work. So you got to have and be flexible. Be organized. The time you spend planning will be repaid many times over. So you got to be organized. I used to have a junky office. I had stacks and stacks of paper. But if someone was to call me and say, Cindy, where's file B? I could have told them, go in my office, the second stack, the green folder. I could tell them exactly where that was. So be organized. Don't forget to delegate. Some leaders assume that the job won't get done unless they do them themselves. And I was like that too early on. I'll just do it so I don't have to worry about explaining it. And I know it's going to be done right. But no, a good leader An effective leader will delegate, give everyone an opportunity to be able to contribute. Then set as an example. We have to lead by example. Be consistent. Nothing is more confusing than a leader who is saying being one way 1 minute and then switching and being somewhere something totally different. So be yourself and make sure you be consistent. One of my favorites, give praise. It costs nothing to say nice job, or give someone a pat on the back. We're so quick to criticize. We need to give praise as good leaders.
Absolutely.
And then ask for help. That's the last tip that I have for being an effective leader. Leaders don't have the answers to everything. No one has the answers to everything. So it's okay to ask for help. So those are my tips for being an effective leader. And it has worked for me throughout my career.
No, those are great tips. I know when you mentored me, that was pretty cool. And you tell me, okay, so you got to read this and then we'll talk about it. And I know one thing that you didn't like was whenever one of your mentees said they were going to be there and then they didn't show up or let you know, and how important that is. If you're going to say you're going to do something, you commit.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely, Jose. You'll hear later on. I never turned anyone down who asked to be mentored, but I did have strict criteria for that. I said, number one, if I'm spending time putting you on my calendar, setting up time and dates, then you need to be on time. I understand things happen and, emergencies happen, but you need to let me know as soon as possible, because I tell them, if you don't show up, I don't give you a second and third chance. That's it. And I cut you off my mentor list. So yes.
And we got another shout out. This is from, let me say, she said, always be on time. Teresa said, always
there you
be
go,
on time.
Teresa.
Yeah. And let me see, I think we have another one. Let me see, that right? John Jones. Hello, Cindy.
Hey, John, what's going on? I'm glad you could make it.
And we have another comment. This one is from Good Luck Boys and said, so proud of you. I've learned so much about leadership just by watching you. The lessons you taught me helped shape me into the leader I am today. Leading teams of over 200 people. Love you, Mom.
That is my baby boy. His birthday is tomorrow.
Stupendous.
Yes. Happy birthday, baby. You're 40.
Cumpleaños feliz. Cumpleaños feliz. Hey, we're going to go diversity up in here. That's what makes the world go. Hey, thank you. Oh, my God. That is so awesome.
You, son. Yeah.
That is stupendous. No, that's, if I had hair, forget it. It'd be standing up. That is stupendous right there. But, it. So Cindy, is it true that you mentor federal employees throughout your leadership career?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I became a leader, what I consider, first I want to go back because I say everyone is a leader in their own right. You can be a leader in anything, but an official leader in the federal government, I guess it was about 94, where I started leading and mentoring people. So yes, 1994 was probably when I first started leading and mentoring.
Wow.
Mentoring. And I lost count of the number of people I mentored. I would say hundreds, it may be in the thousands. I always call out Teresa because she was one of the ones in my office that helped schedule all the mentoring.
Yes.
And she was like, oh my gosh, Cindy, if you say yes to one more person, I just love mentoring people, because if it wasn't for other people who have helped me in my career, I would not have gone as far as I did in the federal government. So I appreciate that.
No, and that kind of dovetail as when can you tell us about organizations that you hold life membership with?
Yes.
What are the benefits of joining organization like that?
Absolutely. I have joined so many and still members of several organizations, and I'm going to try to remember them. I got a little ticklers because it's so many.
Yes,
I am a life membership of Blacks in Government, the Federal Asian Pacific American Council, the Federally Employed Women, the Worldwide Women's Association, the Society of American Indian Government Employees, National Image, National Women's Collaborative, and Deaf in Government. I also hold memberships with the League of United Latin American Citizens, African American Federal Executive Association, as well as the Association for the Improvement of Minorities within the Internal Revenue Service. And I'm glad you asked me that question. What are the benefits of joining these organizations? Because people used to say to me all the time, Jose, well, why are you going to LULAC? You're not Hispanic. Or why are you going to FAPAC, the Federal Asian Pacific? You're not Asian. And I said, first of all, you never judge the book by its cover because you don't know what your DNA entails. So that's number one. And you don't have to be a part of that specific group to be able to join. And I'm going to use deaf in government as an example. I'm not deaf yet. I may not have a little hearing loss, but I can still hear. But I joined that organization because I read what their, objectives of the organization. What are they doing for their members? And I enjoyed what they were doing. And I said, this is something that I could benefit from, and I can also help them benefit from. I love the diversity of the organization. When I would speak at their conferences, they would bring in an interpreter for me to interpret my, vocal presentation into sign language. So you don't have to be a member of that organization or a member of that ethnic group in order to join. We know how we are as far as our ethnicity, but you want to reach out and learn and have knowledge of other cultures and ethnic groups. So yes, I look at what their membership entails, what are their criteria and objectives and goals of the organization. And if it fits into mine, I'm joining.
Absolutely. We have another shout out right here from, let me see, Keisha Houston. It says, hello, Miss Cindy.
Hey, Keisha, how are you, my dear?
Oh my goodness. This is stupendous. So
I love it.
This is awesome. So we're going to take a quick break, but when you come back, Cindy, this is what I want. What we want to know is what have you been doing since retirement? For example, are you busier now than you were when you were working, et cetera, et cetera? And ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, have those questions. We want to have questions. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Gracias.
All right.
It's the guts and it's the glory. 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the Pledge of Allegiance on the 4th of July. It's them handwritten letters from home. It's them sleepless nights alone. It's his newborn baby he left with his wife. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's a line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes, hey. From the fields of Indiana to the swamps of Louisiana, to the golden coast of California, Uncle Sam's the only family he's got. His purple heartbeat won't stop, and his 18th birthday was the day he was born. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's the line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, stand on the front line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, pay the ultimate price. Oh.
you, Lord. Hey. Hey.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
The web at mbradio.com.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back, Cindy. This is stupendous. Okay. Hey, first of all, we got a couple of more shout outs for you. This one is from Keisha. You should say, good. So happy to be on. All right.
Yes.
And then we have, let me see, Pamela Harkless. Hi, Cindy. So proud of you.
Thank you, Pam.
So proud of you. So this is awesome.
Thank you.
So, but before we get into the question, tell me, what did you think about that commercial? Wasn't that like on?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
So thank you. Before we go on break, before we went on break, we wanted to know, what have you been doing since retirement? And, are you busier than when what is it like? So that's what we want to know.
Oh, yes. I feel like I'm more busier now than when I was actually working. I promised myself I am not going to take on another full-time job. I said I have worked for the last 45 years and I retired with 47 years. So I am not going to work hard any longer, but I do appreciate and I continue to help friends who have like contracting, businesses where they may need some help periodically. I served as a keynote speaker for the Federally Employed Women's Mentoring Seminar. I conducted a leadership training class for the Prince George's County Public School administrators. I was a keynote speaker for the 5th annual Juneteenth celebration in Colonial Beach, Virginia, which was really a lot of fun. I was a speaker for the Women's History Month celebration of girls at Millwood Elementary School, and that was a lot of fun. It was intended for the young girls at the elementary school, but they had such a good time. And the teacher said, you know what, we need to bring the guys in here too. So they eventually invited the entire classroom to come and listen to that. I was a speaker for the FAPAC mentoring seminar and conducted workshops, seminars on financial literacy and retirement planning for FEW and AIM IRS. I am going to be the speaker for the National Women's Collaborative Summit, which is going to be in St. Thomas, Virgin Islands this year.
Oh my goodness.
I have been the speaker for the last 3 years, and I said, I could finally come and be a participant, but I couldn't get away from that. I was now chosen to be one of the facilitators for the fireside chat. So I'm going to be doing that. I conducted a presentation for SAGE organization. I supported and marketed the Giving Back event that helped feed and pay bills to thousands of Maryland, Prince George's County family members. I am a board member for the Trey Legacy Education Foundation, where we provide scholarships to youth in the Baton Rouge, Louisiana area. So I want to give a shout out to the Porter family for starting that. So I have a lot going on.
Oh man, that's beautiful. We got another shout out right here. This one is from Wilma
Edmonds. That's my auntie.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, auntie. I love it.
That is stupendous. Oh,
I love my family. My family is so supportive.
And they love you. They love you so much that it's evident, And let me see. One of the things also, I know you talked a little about that you excel in your federal career starting as a GS1 and skipping, 8 and 10, was it?
That's correct.
Retiring as a senior manager. Any tips for those who are looking to advance in the federal workforce?
Yes, absolutely. I love giving tips on people. You learn from your mistakes. And I always want people to learn so that they don't have to make the same mistakes that I did. And one of the things that I had learned and helped me again in my career is that you don't turn around any opportunities. And what I mean by that, I love giving real life examples. I know many people on the call have heard me speak in many of my presentations, and I love giving real life examples. And this is the example that I want to give. Again, you know, I worked for the IRS, and I always listen to our employees, Jose. And we had a lot of secretaries where they capped off at GS-10 level. And they kept saying, you know, we need opportunities. There's no career ladder to move us up like all the other specialized positions. So, you know, we need to do something about that. So what I did is I went to my commissioner and said, look, I would like to create a detailed opportunity where we'll give, you know, secretaries and, you know, give them an advantage of where they can possibly move up and move into another series so that they can continue their growth. So I was approved to have a 7-9 EEO assistant, you know, so then that could become an EEO specialist for people who are in the government, know how that series run. So I went out and I did my interviewing. And I remember in particular, this young lady called me. And well, I called her and she called me back and I said, hey, I see that you're a secretary and you're looking to possibly, you know, look for a detail opportunity. I read over your application. It looks really well. And I want to ask you, are you interested in possibly working in my office? The first question she asked me, Jose, was, well, what grade level is it? I said, well, it's a 7. I said a 7. I think it was a 7, 8, 9. That's what it was. And she said, well, I'm an 8 already, so I don't think that I would be interested in this position. I said, well, do you realize I'll move you out of the 318 secretary field to the 260 EEO field, that would give you a better power of being able to move up? She said, no, I mainly wanted a promotion, so I don't want to waste your time by interviewing. I said, okay. And I said, the lesson learned there, Jose, because later that year, I was afforded to announce GS 7, 9, 11, 12 in my office. And guess whose application came through?
Hers.
That same lady. Guess what Cindy did with that application? Because I already knew what you wanted in your mind. So I say, you never, ever overlook blessings and opportunities. There have been times where I took laterals. And another example, when I was working for Export-Import Bank of the United States, I was the GS-13. I was the SCPM, and for people who don't know that, I'm sorry, Special Emphasis Program Manager for the entire agency. I was a GS-13. And I remember a job opening up at the IRS, and it was a GS-13 EEO specialist. I said, well, let me just try it and see. I remember particularly what the director said to me during the interview. She said, I'm looking for someone who can replace me when I retire. And these bells went off. Ding, 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 ding. Career opportunity to move up. So even though I took a 13, that's when I started moving up even more so in my career. So don't ever overlook your blessings and make sure that, you know, it's not all of us, you know, I'm going to be honest, we all want more money. But in the long run, you need to sometimes look at the long-term goals. You may not get paid right away, but in the long term, you will. And if I have time to tell one more story about that, because I'm very passionate about that. Okay, I am so passionate about this. When I was working for the Department of Agriculture, I was a GS-9 personal assistant to the EEO director. And we had 12s that were on staff, which was EEO specialists. We would meet around the table with our director every week and have a meeting. And I remember our director asking, okay, who wants to go on the next EEO compliance review with us? And I remember all the GS-12 EEO specialists asking, well, where we have to go? And nothing against Ames, Iowa. Believe me, I loved Iowa. But when he said Ames, Iowa, everybody's like, oh, I don't want to go there. Because it wasn't Las Vegas. It wasn't Orlando. Nobody wanted to do it. And I raised my hand. I said, well, I know that I'm a GS-9 EEO assistant, but I'm willing to go to Ames, Iowa to help you with the training. I went with my director to that training. We trained employees from Monday through Friday. And I never forget, Jose, on Thursday, he told everybody, this is the last time I'm going to be doing the training. Friday, my EEO assistant is going to do the training. And I was like, oh, I wasn't prepared. But he said she was taking a lot of notes because I had my note paper and I was taking a lot of notes. So Friday, sure enough, he said, I'm going to turn it over to Cindy. And I was able to provide the same training that he provided because I watched him all week. When we got back to Washington, D.C., he got HR on the phone and said, I want you to create another position in my office, a 9-11-12 for an EEO specialist. And guess who was selected for that position? Because I was the only one that volunteered my time to go. So it's so important. Yes.
Speak it, Cindy.
Hey, that's right. You got to. Don't ever overlook your blessings.
And somebody, Teresa said, I took a lateral detail with you and eventually received another grade.
That's right. I brought Teresa over as a lateral, and then she became one of my senior specialists for teams. Yes. And did a great job. Yes.
Oh, my goodness. No, that's a great story. And always tell it because that is important. Because, one thing in the military, you never turn down any training. You take it. You never know where it's going to lead. We have a question from a LinkedIn user. So the question is, what does legacy mean to you beyond titles, achievements, or career milestones? Yvette.
Is that Yvette Delgado? I see Yvette. Delgado. Hey, Yvette. What legacy means to me beyond the titles and achievements and career milestones is just leaving a positive message. My youngest son is on the line. I don't know if my oldest son is on, but they know I always talk about leaving a legacy. When you're gone, what will people say about you? What would they remember about you? So many times people retire and then, next year somebody mention your name and say, who is that? Who is that person? I don't recall that person. So it's so important to me in leaving a positive legacy where people will always remember you. I have positive things that I have done. And Yvette, I love telling this story as well. One of my legacies that I will always have at the IRS is that I created what was called a detail opportunity database. And I had to fight for this database, but it is still being used to this day. And what this database is, again, early on in my conversation, I was talking about how, helping people, talking to employees, listening to them. Employees was coming to me and saying, Cindy, I'm tired of hearing about detail opportunities after the fact. We'll get an email. Well, let's thank Jose Flores or say congratulations to Jose for being selected for this detail. You hear it after the fact. So I came up with this database and I went to my commissioner and said, why not create a database where all detail opportunities be put into? I said, so all managers who are doing any type of hiring, put it in a database so all employees will have an opportunity to see and apply. And I got pushback, and I remember the commissioner saying, no, I don't want to do that because we're not going to pay for somebody to move from Washington to California for a detail, blah, blah, blah. Well, Cindy, I had my options, and I said, okay, you're right. We're not going to pay for them to go on a detail, but how do you know they don't have family members that live in California that they can stay with to, go into the detail? So don't afford no one the opportunity. Let them decide, but let them know we're not going to pay for any moving expenses, but they may make some other arrangements. So that worked out really well. And that detail opportunity database is still being used as far as I know. At the IRS, and people have applauded me many times for saying that they have this and they now have a fair opportunity to apply for position.
No, that is stupendous. Yeah, it comes in, depends on the internet. Yeah, but we're good. I can hear you. It comes out clear. We have another shout out right there from, it says, hi, Cindy.
Hey, Jesse. Hey, I'm going to be cruising with Jessie for her 75th birthday in a couple of weeks.
Oh, my goodness.
I put you out there, Jessie, 75. That's an accomplishment. We're cruising for her birthday. Thank you for joining.
We definitely need pictures. And a LinkedIn user said yes. I mean, based on what you said, before, and I think that's so important. And I got a text from somebody, I guess it says, what do you believe the next generation needs most from leaders right now? What do you think they need, the next generation of federal workers?
I think they need guidance. Definitely guidance from more seasoned employees, because I think that's what's going wrong now within the federal government, because so many seasoned people have been, fired or forced to retire, where there's no historical knowledge anymore. So they're having to start from scratch. And I don't think that's fair to millennials or new employees entering the workforce, not having any type of person to tell them, the culture. I always say the unwritten rules.
Yes.
They have unwritten rules, and you'll never find it in a textbook or in any type of standard operating procedures. That's what you learn from seasoned employees.
Yes.
So that's what I would say. Find guidance. Find someone who is seasoned that can help you, tell you the culture about the organization. So many people come into an organization with all these really good ideas. They want to come in and change things really quick. And what happens most of the time? They fail because they don't know the culture.
Yes.
You have to know the culture of any organization before entering and trying to make any drastic changes.
Yes. Yes.
That's a good question.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I was in the military and when I changed over to another division, and what I would do is stop, look, and listen 90 days. Unless it's a safety issue, then we make changes. But stop, look, and listen. See what the culture is like, because that's going to help you out a lot. And just so as I know we talked about this, but do you have any upcoming events that you're part of and would like for us to watch? I know you shared about the one, St. Thomas. Is there anything else? Oh my goodness. I can't. Ooh, that's gonna be stupendous. Oh my God,
I am so excited about that, Jose.
Oh,
like I said, I thought I was going to be going as a participant this year.
Yeah.
Now being a retired federal employee, but the CEO, Sharon Jackson, have convinced me to be a facilitator at one of the fireside chats. So I will be doing that. I have a couple other things coming up. I'm going to help my financial planner with his marketing strategies for his business. I have another girlfriend, Dawn. We have a mutual friend, Dawn Hancock. I'm going to help her with marketing her company. I love people. I love interacting with people. So everyone is willing me into marketing and helping with their organization.
Cool
but
beans.
I did want to say, if I can go back, because I got to give a shout out. And I know people say, oh, I don't like to brag, or, I feel like I'm being conceited. But we have to brag about our accomplishments, because if you don't, nobody will know what you've done. So Muhammad Ali said it the best. He used to say, it's not bragging if you're telling the truth. So I just wanted to put a shout out there to say, I know we talked about legacies. I do want to talk about one of my lasting legacies that I am very, very proud of. And that is that I was featured in a magazine. Ta-da! And I think Jose is going to share that later with you all. But in October 2024, I was featured in a DiversityCom magazine. And let me tell you how I was selected for that, because it's so important about networking. That's another thing that I would say that we need to do. If you're still in the workplace now, you need to be able to network with people, because you don't know who can help you. I was at the LULAC conference and I was giving a presentation, and I remember seeing this lady walk in with this big old camera, and she was taking pictures. And I was thinking to myself, oh, she's going to move on to the next and, do her thing. Well, she ended up staying the entire presentation. And immediately after my presentation, she walked up to me and she said just the same. She said, I came in here to take some pictures and I was going to move on, but I was so intrigued by your presentation. You reeled me in and made me stay. She said, hi, my name is Mona Lisa, and I'm the CEO of DiversityCom magazine, and I would love to feature you in our magazine. So again, networking is so important. I would not have met Mona Lisa, and I would have not known about DiversityCom magazine if it wasn't for her to come up and to speak to me. So I always like to say, I am the centerfold of the DiversityCom. I'm right smack dab in the middle, and I share a magazine with Magic Johnson. Hey, that is a great legacy, right? I also want to talk about, I'm sorry, Jose, I think you're muted. Okay. I also want to briefly talk about a legacy with the federally employed women. I was the first recipient of the Champion for Diversity Award that was given in 2018. And then I was given the same award in 2024. So I am the only recipient of that award. And I like to think that they made that award up for me because no one was before me and no one was behind me. I was also awarded the Spirit Award by the Society of American Indian Government Employees. So I always say, by leaving a legacy, my goal is to have my great-great-great-grandchildren, to read about their grandmother, about the work that she done, the difference that she made, and, market and making society a better place. So I said, it's not about bragging. Tell people what you've done. Tell people, your accomplishment, because that's the only way that they would know. And Jordan, I'm going to get you a copy of that magazine. I see your comment. Thank you.
And before we get into how people can contact you, August 26th is Women Equality Day. What does that day mean to you?
Yes. Women Equality Day means a lot to me, especially during these days and times. We're going through some, real bad times, but we need to know it commemorates the 1920 certification of the 19th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, granting American women the right to vote. Beyond celebrating the right to vote, Women's Equality Day serves as an annual focal point to raise awareness about the hurdles that women continue to face. For example, gender pay is still in existence, the gender pay gap, caretaking burdens, and the lack of workplace flexibility, reproductive rights. So women still face obstacles today, and that is why it is so important that you do exercise your right to vote. I had 2 grandchildren that turned 18 last year, and that was the first thing I asked. Did you register to vote? It is so important that we do that. By chance, is any of my grandchildren on the line? I just wanted to ask Jose. If so, do a shout out real quick. And Jose, I think you're muted.
Yes, right. I was. I do. Hey, people. Hey, any grandchildren? Any of the grandchildren out there? And somebody said, Jessica, hey, Cindy, you have truly been a blessing to so many people doing their careers. I'm so proud of you and all your well-deserved accomplishments. Right? Yeah. No one. Oh. Yeah. That is.
Thank you. Yes.
That is awesome. So what we're gonna do is, how can people get a hold of you and talk about some of the things? I'm gonna bring up the slides. And you can talk about it. Let me go to that first one, and you can talk about what's going on here.
Oh, this was so much fun, Jose. Let me tell you about this slide here. Now, I told you all that I was invited to be the keynote speaker for Colonial Beach's Juneteenth program that took place on June 19th this year. And right after I gave my keynote speech, this radio station pulled me over and said, hey, we want to interview you live. And I was like, oh my goodness. So it was an impromptu interview where they just went over the key points, and I went over the key points of my Juneteenth presentation. So that was really exciting. I actually have the link too. I can share with you and the rest of the people, Jose. I can give that to you later, that you can hear the live interview of the radio station 88.1. You're muted, Jose.
Oh, yep, absolutely. Yes. I'm sorry. Yeah. And here's the next slide.
Yes, this slide is my presentation for the Juneteenth program. And everyone was saying I looked so nice in my red, and I was trying to explain to them, red represents the blood that was shed, by our ancestors during Juneteenth. So that's why I had this bright red jumpsuit on. But that was really nice. We had a good time at that program.
Cool beans. And we have a question. We have a comment. I'm proud to say that I've been to a few workshops provided by Cindy as a manager of the Virginia State Social Services. I've used some of the strategies. That's from that is stupendous. Oh my God. All right. Yes. And I think here is that's the magazine there that we were talking about. You can scan the QR code and so on, and I'll put it back out there. So that's another great thing. Let me see. And this is how they can connect with you, Cindy.
Yes.
And
my email is on there too.
Oh, yes. Wait a minute. Yeah, let's put that email. Let's put that email, and it is right. Let me see. Show.
And while Jose is pulling up that email, I want to put out a little disclaimer, because since I retired, I am always traveling. And I used to say when I was working, I would answer in 24 hours. Well, guess what? It might be a little bit longer, because I may be on an exotic island in St. Martin, one of my favorite places. So I may not be able to respond right away, but I will respond to all emails, LinkedIn, and Facebook messages.
Mm-hmm. And let me see if there's any more questions. Let me see. I think that's about it. So we have a few minutes. What would you like to say as you're closing to the audience, to people, future generations? What would you like to say, Cindy?
Yes, I want to talk about leaving a legacy, since that's our main focus here. We need to be able to leave a positive legacy. And I want to leave you with another personal true story about legacy. Working for the IRS, there was another manager that came up to me and said, Cindy, do you need another employee? I said, yeah, I can always use another employee, but what's wrong with her? Because normally people don't give away employees. And they said, oh, she has 2 bachelor's degrees. She has 2 master's degrees. She's a veteran of the armed services. And I was like, okay, well, let's bring her on. So I brought her on for a 6-month detail. And before she started that Friday, I had a conversation with her, and I'm going to call her Tina. I'm not good at telling lies. So her name was Tina, but I'm not going to say the last name. So I had a conversation with Tina, and I told Tina, these are my rules, and this is how my office goes. So we talked about everything. After I told her about how things will be going, I said, okay, I'll see you 8 o'clock Monday morning. 8 o'clock Monday morning rolled around, there was no Tina. And I said, oh, well, maybe Tina got confused and went down to her old job, forgetting that she's supposed to start her detail. So I reached out to the manager. The manager said, no, Tina's here today. And I said, okay, well, I tried to call the number that was on file, couldn't get in contact with her. And Tuesday, Tina come walking into the office. I said, Tina, what happened on Monday? She said, can I be honest with you? I said, sure, I want you to be honest. She said, well, every weekend I drive to see my significant other in New Jersey. And it never fails, Cindy. My car breaks down on the way home every weekend. So I can't get into the office on Monday. And I said, Tina, that's not good.
No.
I said, I need somebody who's going to be, on time, reliable. I can't have a part-time employee. I said, but if that's your significant other, I would think that they would do anything that's humanly possible to come see you if he knows or she knows you're breaking down every weekend.
Right.
So I say that to say that was what was called my invisible briefcase story, because I learned early on that everybody carries a invisible briefcase, and it's invisible to you because you cannot add to it, nor can you take out of it, but people around you can. Tina's invisible briefcase said that she had 2 bachelor's degrees. She had 2 master's degrees. She was a veteran, but Tina didn't know how to get to work on her.
Wow.
So
wow.
You don't want that. You don't want that briefcase to follow you with all that negativity. So you have to make a point that you do what you need to do so that the people around you will put positive things in that briefcase and not negative. And to close that out, one of my favorite people of all time, he was one of my bosses. I would meet with him every Monday morning, and my meeting would start at 8 o'clock. But I was in his office, outside his office, 7:30 every Monday morning. And one day he came out about 7:45, and he asked his secretary, "Where is Cindy?" He said, "Well, you know, it's not until 8 o'clock." He said, "No, Cindy is always here a half hour early. So something is wrong with Cindy. We need to find out what is going on." That's my invisible brief. I'm always on time. I'm never late. You have to anticipate being late.
Well, I know, Cindy, that is amazing. Wow.
Hey, Isaiah.
Yeah, and you have one, I don't know if you got a chance to read it. It said, "This has been a fabulous interview. So thankful for you, Cindy, and all that you have sown into me and many mentees."
Yes, that's true. Absolutely. Thanks for joining.
So, Cindy,
if you want to know,
it's been awesome.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, you know, Jose, I'm a chatterbox. You gotta shut me up.
No, we're good. We are good. No. I just want to make sure that we get everything you want to say in. So
yes. And I just wanted to say, if you want to know what your legacy is or what people think about you, my dad used to say this all the time. God rest his soul. He would say, "Google me." So I always say, periodically, you should always Google yourself. See what people are saying about you. I do it at least once a week. Unfortunately, all my EDI stuff is slowly but surely fading from the internet, but there's still a lot of things out there. So I'm giving you all a homework assignment. Google Cynthia Dunn, IRF, and you send me an email and tell me what you find.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, thank you for everything. And again, I'm putting out there the YouTube, but when you write your memoir and your book, you're coming back on the show to talk about it. We want to hear everything. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you for being here, for giving the shout out. Any more last shout outs, please send it, because we're about to go off the air. But you have dropped so much knowledge. I'm glad that you are my friend. You're a great leader, a great human being, and you have a lot of love and compassion to give to all. So
thank you so much.
I just want to say gracias. I'm going to do one more check. Nobody has said anything. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for everything, and have a great one, Cindy and my ladies and gentlemen.
Gracias. And happy birthday, son. Love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Beaker with Military Broadcast Radio TV. We're your virtual MWR, bringing veterans radio, podcasts, gaming, animation, 3D printing, and a community that never leaves you behind. Download our Roku or mobile app today.
Wisdom to share if you listen this week, so pull up a chair and stay for a spell. We're heading down a trail where good stories dwell.